Hi guys, this is Greg again, and as I do this video, I reflect back to how many visitors we had in our school. And one of my favorite parts in having schools visit is talk about the lessons that we learned. And oftentimes, what brought out in the conversation is in the exchange of ideas and the failures that we might have had, but what we learned from those failures. And I think that was some of the best conversations that I had over the last 10 years. One of the things that we had a chance to do is talk to Apple and Google and really learn about some of their best practices and what they learned along the way. Now, what Google revealed is the importance of solving a problem and really um, I think that, like for instance, a teacher, oftentimes they'll be working and, the work will be almost to the end where they're complete, and then all of a sudden something happens to their computer and they have to start over. A very frustrating, situation for a teacher. And then, let's say a teacher assistant had to make, 25 copies for everybody, and now they can share it instantly, using Google Drive and putting people's emails in and sharing the link, which is great and saves you all kinds of time because going down to the copier, waiting for the copies to be made, sorting them, organize them. Now we don't have to do that. It can be shared in the using cloud computing systems. And then when we have counselors who can easily counsel their students on different things, so you bring in outside experts who can actually help with academic projects and personalize the service around schools. This is what Google helped people do and solve much of the problems that people had and some of the frustration points that led to educator burnout. Now, the other thing that Google taught us is the 80% rule. And the rule of 80% means that a new system has to operate and feel like the old system 80% of the time. And what that means is a learning curve for new people is minimum, which is 20% or less. And when we're talking about the flipped classroom and how that works, is that all we asked people to do was reshuffle their current practice. We had all the ingredients, that we needed to be successful, but we had them out of order. So really what we did is we spent 20% of our time just reshuffling and reordering and reorganizing our current practice, which was, fantastic as far as getting teachers to buy in. They weren't doing anything, they weren't doing a lot of new things, just rethinking how they currently did it. And then, what Apple, taught us was that you start with a simple solution. And so, remember this, the iPod, they don't start people on the iMac that has a, a wonderful operating system, a huge screen, but it costs $2,700. What this does is that this starts you with a very simple. What they do is they integrate you simply into their system, in a very low level. So it starts with a simple investment, you know, and then what they do is they start with let's say 2,000 of your favorite songs, and then you move to the iTouch and the iPad, which is simple music plus your favorite apps. And then you may move to the iPhone, which is your music, your apps, your contacts, and then your communication. And then you may gradually move on to the music, apps, contacts, communication. In a MacBook Pro, which is your laptop, you actually get to create more things. And it's a lot easier to create. You're spending a couple hours maybe sitting at your MacBook Pro, and you're operating your basically all your functions through it. And then an iMac is really for music and app, and it's a communication, and on this big screen that you can do some lot of editing and special features and so forth. But what Apple did is they just, what I call it, dropped my waterline as a user. They started with me on a simple process of 2,000 of my favorite songs. So they didn't tell you what songs to actually download. They allowed me to download the songs. Once I got personalized, personally hooked in that, then they graduated me to the iPad, and then they graduated me to the iPhone, and then they graduated graduated me to the MacBook Pro, and then they graduated to the iMac. And what they also did was they also connected all of them, which, what we need from our schools is we need to be connected in our processes. So not only do we start in a simple approach where, our learning curve is minimal, what we also did is we allowed me to grow into the system. And that's what we generally did. And so how do we apply Google's transition and Apple's brand loyalty to Flip? Well, what we do is we start with something that's familiar, which are lessons. We already have those. And what we're doing is we're just simply reshuffling them into an 80-20 format. Now, the next level integration is that, remember, we're dropping the waterline so people can be more comfortable and more personalized. And so you can do an 80-20 lesson format, but you may use someone else's video content. So, for instance, you may use Khan Academy. Videos are already created. Now, we know the students really like their teacher videos. So, level 3 is that you want to do 80-20. You could create your own videos, all right? And you can use other people's videos. And then you start integrating useful technologies that, you become more and more comfortable in that arena. And then it makes you more efficient. So using such things as Google Classroom or a simple LMS or a blog where you have it there all for students all the time is a great strategy. But that's your level 3 integration. So you don't start with level 3, you start with level 1, 80-20. Move to level 2, then level 3. You get more and more personally invested into the system. Level 4, you make 80-20, your own videos. Teachers can create a website, a blog, a channel, share their works with other colleagues outside the system or outside their classrooms. Really starting to create a really nice deliverable in a delivery system for your content and the information that's being shared in class. And then level 5 is that teacher own the videos as well as students help start to create those videos. Students start to help manage the classroom website. Students actually start to take notes for the entire class and share them on Google. What you're trying to do is you're transitioning the ownership. And now you become part of the learning community. And so that's where we want all teachers to go. The problem that we have is that we sometimes expect them to get there without bringing them along. So you can see that, we have level 1 to level 5 integration, and we start step by step, and we work with things that people are familiar with, and then we eventually get them to where students are actually co-creating with the teacher. Those are the secrets that we learned from Google and also from Apple. And I think if we lay out our flipped classroom approach in just that manner, then I think that we'll be as successful as those companies are in moving people from one entity to the next and also creating brand loyalty as we did at the Flipped High School and also that we're doing, along the lines that Apple does every single day.